It is such a joy to spend some time with you today. Is everyone enjoying family days and the amazing weather? You've heard it's like this every day, of course, in Williamstown. Savor the moment. So we're going to spend a little bit of time introducing you to our career exploration model. So I'll give a little bit of the highlights reel, and then actually Janine Oliver, our Director of Career Education, is going to go deeper into some of the specific things we do to prepare Williams students to have an impact in the world. I've been told to speak a little louder or a little closer here. And then, probably most interestingly, you will have the opportunity to hear from some of our students. That's my favorite part of the program. We're going to leave ample time for your questions. So we hope you won't be shy and really ask whatever's on your mind in terms of how you can bolster your students' success with internships, postgraduate jobs, or graduate school preparation. Okay? So again, my name is Don Scheller, and I'm the Executive Director at the 68 Center for Career Exploration. Note that word exploration, you're going to hear that often today. We literally start at the moment of matriculation. We are strong believers in first-year students engaging early and often, because we know if they take their time and have numerous experiences, which you'll hear about today, way beyond just internships, they are going to be much better informed in their decision-making process. So just quick show of hands, how many families here are first-year student families, just to see? Great. And then how about second year through seniors? Okay, so we actually have another mix. And any other folks in the room that are not current parents? How about alums? Are there any parents that are alums? Great. Welcome back. Lovely. So today will be an opportunity then for you to hear a little bit more about our processes. I'll just say one or two more things. Outcomes from a Williams education are phenomenal. So 6 months after graduation, something like 92% of our students are employed or in graduate school or doing something professional. So it's very strong for students who are interested in participating. I think the key, though, is are they doing what they want to do with this degree? You've heard a lot about the incredible academics here at Williams. You've seen the physical plant. The cultural, co-curricular activities are just unbelievable. But at the end of the day, we want students to be able to do the thing that they want to do with this degree. And that's why we are such big believers in this exploration process. So I will be happy to answer questions during the Q&A session. But again, I just wanted to welcome you to the session and introduce Janine.
Thank you. I should have the microphone near me, right? Awesome. I'm bad with microphones, so just tell me what I need to do. Hi, I'm Janine Oliver. I am new here at Williams. I started just in August, and it's been an amazing time so far, but I am learning right alongside your students about this place, which has just been so amazing with so many opportunities for them and for us. So you might be curious about how we engage those students from the beginning of their time here. And the answer is, honestly, in whatever way they need. We want to meet students just where they are, and so I met a lot of students during first days and got to hear some of their questions, and some of those questions are the super exploratory questions about how am I going to find my way here, how am I going to find what I love and what I'm good at, what if I change my mind, and some of those are the, hey, I've identified this alum in this specific niche, in this specific field, and exactly how do I get their contact information. And both of those, they're great. What we love to do as a group of advisors, employer relations folks, we like to help students connect to those people and opportunities that are the fit for them at the moment. Knowing that students might come in very decided and stick with that plan. They might come in very decided and quickly or slowly figure out that plan is not the one for them, and they might come in undecided, and we want to really support all of those paths. So much of what we do when we meet them where they are is we work to connect them to the right resources to get them to the next natural step in their trajectory. We teach them lifelong skills that they're not gonna, it's much easier to keep applying those same skills if you've applied them once than if someone does a process for you. So a lot of our work is really developmental. And we like to encourage that exploration rather than make them feel like they need to be decided. There's no reason to be decided as a first year or even along the way. It's a series of decisions, not one decision. So our model. We have a group of amazing advisors and peer advisors, one of whom is on our panel today. We work both as generalists who will help students with some of those transferable skills of talking to folks in networking contexts, of communicating their interests and skills through resumes and cover letters and interviews, through that exploration process of exploring their classes, their activities, exploring through networking, and the search process, the nitty-gritty pieces of that, and connecting them with specific opportunities that they might find accessible and exciting to them. So we do that as generalists, but we also have a model of career communities where our advisors are connected to different clusters of careers and help with connections to those through opportunities, through programs, through connections to alumni and other members of the extended Williams community. Those career communities are, let's see if I get them all right this time, business, arts, communication, and entertainment, entrepreneurship, careers with social impact, which is a great one that encompasses things like law, social impact, social impact is the name of it, social justice, education, I should have written them all down, right? Government, thank you, sustainability, and then we have a STEM and health career community. I thought I hit that one. Thank you. And so through those, we have both the generalist lens and the specialist lens that students get to get closer access to those opportunities and kind of the nuance of each of those fields. So that's some generalities about our advising model. Our advisors are really happy to meet with students. They connect with us through handshake and appointments, but we're also happy for them to come into the office and say, how do I get to a person? And there are people who will walk them through how to get into the systems, connect with us as people. We'll be doing more programming than even during the semester when we hit winter study, when we know that there's a little more time. I'm actually presenting a winter study course, brand new, so if your students haven't heard about it yet, it's called Connecting the Dots, Introduction to Career Development. It's a good name, right? And I'd be really excited to see them there and just get them started with their process along the way. I think this is a great time to hand it over to our students to talk a little bit about both their experiences in their opportunities and with the Career Center, and then we can answer more questions. I know there might be some about our employer relations side and different outcomes and whatnot, so happy to take those when the time comes.
Hello, I am very glad to be here. My name is Christelle. I am a senior. I'm majoring in political economy and concentrating in global studies. And I come from Albania, so as an international student, I think I can also offer that perspective from like engaging with the Career Center and how it also supports international students navigate employment opportunities in the US as well as abroad. I have had a great experience with the Career Center, especially because I am an international student and not as familiar with the system or with the opportunities that are offered in the US. And it's been great just to go in and not even have an idea of where you're heading or what exactly you need to navigate, but have those people guide you and support you and just be very welcoming towards any ideas that you might have that can sound crazy in your head, but when you sit down with someone, they show you that it's really not, and there's a pathway to achieve different things in various ways, and as long as you have a particular goal, it doesn't have to be very well defined, you have a lot of amazing people that can walk you through it here. I remember like making my first appointment in my freshman year, and I definitely did have that fear of going in and not sounding clear at all with what I wanted to do or even why I was there. But I think it's so nice to encourage people, especially because I had that experience as well, to just go in without a plan and talk about the things that you enjoy doing, talk about the things that you've done, what courses you're taking, which ones you're liking, which ones you're not, and they can point towards what you could be doing in the future as well in ways that you don't understand at the moment. And this summer I had the opportunity to be part of the ASIP program, the Alumni-Sponsored Internship program, which is also an incredible opportunity. And there are so many of these that you don't even know that they're there sometimes. So you definitely need to sit down with people who know, or to look through the career website, which is full of links. I thought it was so impressive when I saw that. Like, there's always a link to click and go into a fellowship page or another program. And the ASIP program was amazing in that it allowed me to do something that I enjoyed without having to worry whether I can make ends meet during the summer. I worked for the United Nations Association back home, which is a civil society organization that works in very close partnership with the United Nations agencies. And they develop a lot of projects from youth empowerment to sustainability action to influencing policy making, and to providing workshops and podcasts, seminars, conferences for the youth to be more engaged with sustainability action and with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And it was great to be able to do that, and it was great to be able to be contributing back home with a lot of the things and the skills that I have learned during my time at Williams, and the AC program definitely allowed me to do that. I can definitely talk more about other experiences I've had, and I'm currently working at the Career Center, which will also be an interesting way to engage with the center and what it offers, and I'm glad to be here and to be with you all.
All right. Hey guys, I'm Min. I'm a senior and I'm a computer science major, class of 23. I'm from Texas. I have a little less international background, but yeah, so my interactions with the Career Center is actually pretty interesting. I don't think I've actually ever signed up for an appointment or anything like that. But my first engagement with them was actually through a tech trek that we did in the winter study of my freshman year. So that was just like an opportunity for students to sign up, and a couple of us, around 10 or so, were taken to Boston where we could explore different tech companies. I think we hit a couple of startups, and then the big ones, Google, Facebook, things like that. That was really cool, and that was all kind of sponsored and guided by alumni who were actually working there. So that was my first sort of interaction with the alumni program. As a first-gen student, I actually did not understand what the word alumni was until I came here, and I was really shocked about how strong our alumni network actually is. I remember interviewing for a winter internship with one of our alumni my sophomore year, and even though I wasn't the perfect match for that, he offered me a referral to the company he was currently working at, where I landed my first tech internship. That was Oracle. That was 2 years ago, and as I kind of like utilize the alumni network, work with different people from class years I never even had interactions to, like just being as a student on this campus. These people have graduated way, way, way before me, but they were always so willing to help, very open. I got the opportunity to intern with Microsoft this past summer in Seattle. That was an awesome experience. And as I kind of work with the Career Center, I'm the peer tech advisor this year. I got to learn a lot about like how industry works, the recruiting cycle, and overall negotiations, which made me very fortunate to say I've like landed pretty much my dream job. Yes. And of course, I'm happy to take any other questions too.
Thank you so much. Fantastic. So we've just scraped the surface because we want to hear your questions. We hope you heard a few of our buzzwords, things like ASIP, things like alumni networks, summer internships, winter study internships. There's a long list, and we'd love to talk more about any of those. So who is brave enough? We do actually have a microphone. We are recording today this session so that we can share it out with other families who are unable to be with us today. So if you wouldn't mind actually going to the microphone, we will be capturing that. Yes, yes. Speak loudly.
Oh, yeah. So you mentioned the alumni-sponsored internships. I just wanted to ask a couple more granular questions. Like, are those grants that come from alumni funding to be able to work for like nonprofits and places that would be able to hire you otherwise? the general deadlines for those kinds of things? And then B, is there a maximum number of times while you're here that you can get those?
Yeah, those are great questions. So the alumni-sponsored internship program this past summer granted 202 students $3,800 to support unpaid or low stipended internships. We're very interested in supporting particularly younger students who aren't as competitive for some of the paid internships, and specific industries. You mentioned nonprofits, very typical, that would be unpaid. So we're trying to level the playing field so all students have access to this career exploration model, particularly younger students, because it's just so impactful to actually go out in these work settings and have these experiences. And so another piece that was actually slightly mentioned was winter study internships. Those are for credit, they are not for pay. Students on financial aid can get a $1,000 stipend, and we have 150 of those available this year. Very popular. We actually have 6 different winter study courses that we're offering through the Career Center. We're just a huge believer in any time we can get students out into the real world, that exposure is just phenomenal, and they bring that back to the classroom, so it's this really lovely cycle between the work world and the academic world. And then there was another piece to your question.
Deadlines, like what are the kinds of deadlines
Yeah.
that we should have in our minds? So we can-
Sure. So the first deadline's in February because some employers need to know early, and then it goes all the way through April is the final deadline. And you can imagine a lot of nonprofits or just-in-time employers, it's later versus more structured programs, probably like the United Nations, it's quite early and quite competitive. So,
But nothing before, like, to get that funding, you don't necessarily have to put things together beforehand.
so the student does have to secure the internship, and they apply separately for the funding, yes. Great question. Yeah, a couple of questions in the back. Love the Williams sweatshirt, by the way. That's great.
Quick question, very simple. These internship opportunities sort of are there sort of the geographic kind of the concentrations, more on the East Coast, like Boston, New York, or it's distributed all through the country?
Does anyone want to take a shot at that? 'Cause
Sure, we can. So this program applies to all internships that you can find, not just in the United States, but also throughout, like, around the world. Like in my case, it was back home, and Williams was still supportive of that. The only requirement is that you secure an internship for which the Career Center can also help, because a lot of the times there are postings about different internships you would be eligible for to also get the ASIP grant. And there's also the platform that we use, Handshake, where there are constant job postings there, a lot of internship opportunities, and you can apply pretty much anywhere in the United States that you'd like, or anywhere in the world.
So just to add a finer point on that, about 12% typically of the ASIPs go to international opportunities. And the beautiful thing about being an employee of the college, you don't need work visa in the country where you are because you're actually employed by us. So it really smooths the paperwork out. That said, if a student is from that country, obviously they don't need the work permit. We are really trying to bolster the college's strategic plan around Global Williams. We have very ambitious goals for fundraising and internship development in all global markets. We really want students, wherever the best opportunity is in the world, we don't want barriers to that. Those of you who have seen the current record, you'll notice on the very back page, and this is my shameless plug, the Career Center strategic plan, which details Global Williams and how we're aligning our internship ambitions, are part of one of our peaks. So you can check that out for more. Thank you.
So one nuance that I just wanted to lay out there is that there are certainly opportunities that are sourced through Friends of Williams, whether it's alumni or organizations that regularly recruit here, that are opportunities that are posted directly for Williams students. And then also a lot of our work is through helping students, educating them about how to self-source internships, whether that's applying directly to opportunities, creating opportunities where none existed but they wished one did. And so the process is different for each student, but frequently it's a mix of those things, of seeking opportunities that come directly through Williams, and then also expanding to things that they envision to be even better fits for them along the way. And we can help them with the process of figuring out whether there's something pre-made for them or something that they can seek that's gonna be even better.
are the stipends only for sort of published internships? Or if you have a contact and they say, oh, we can offer you an internship with no money, the student can?
Everything.
Yeah.
The more creative, the better.
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah, same thing with winter study, those internships.
Okay.
Yeah. They're just, one thing that's a little bit different with our office, there does need to be an organization that you're interning with, which is different. Winter study, you can do independent I-99s, they're called. We prefer for students to be in an organization because we feel like they're going to get the mentoring, they're going to have a broader experience than working on their own startup, for example, during winter study.
How often do the freshmen, first year get this information?
Great. What is our first year goal, Jeannie?
I believe our first year goal is engaging 100%. No, I think it's actually 85%. But we'll aim to connect with every first year student that we can along the way. And so that can happen through appointments, that can happen through programs. We got some good opportunities to connect with first years during first days, but we'll also try to get them while they're here for winter study and have that time and are a little more focused on thinking about not where do I eat and where's my room and how do I do my laundry, but focus thinking about a little more future. We'll work on making sure that they connect with us and understand the messages.
And I think that we also get emails, correct me if I'm wrong, on like if there's an upcoming deadline or when like there are particular postings of these opportunities. Like I remember like always receiving more and more and more.
Right. So for example, the
Emails.
State Department will be here this coming Tuesday. We have a lot of employers come back to campus. That's really starting to turn back on. We had a huge event last night, 105 students at, but things like the State Department coming on Tuesday, the students who have indicated on Handshake that they're interested in public service, public policy, et cetera, will get those emails specifically. Other students will not unless they're paying attention to the posters and Instagram and all the other marketing channels that we use.
So my question is health related, the field. And my student, my kid, is not a freshman, she's a junior. And because of COVID, has had a hasn't been able to do shadowing. And she's actually not even sure she wants to go to medical school. And I can't find her any shadowing at home because of COVID. It's still like, why would you want another person breathing in your office? It's like irresponsible, really, of doctors, maybe. And so, and she's already a junior, so she can't do this for winter. She's got honor stuff, but other things. But she's got time during the week. Do you guys have, like your winter study, where you arrange for shadowing for during the year? Because how is a kid going to ever know that they should go to medical school if they can't watch a doctor? And this is kind of a more isolated place. There's other schools out there where you can just take a class and they plug you into, doctor's offices. And so does your career office have shadowing opportunities?
I'm right there working with you on this. And it's, I am both cultivating the opportunities for our winter study this year and thinking about sustainable ways to make this happen during the semester together with CLIA, our office who does have some great partnerships around volunteering at medical facilities around here. One of the cruxes of the challenge really is transportation for students, so working together with folks around that. But please send your student over to me and I will try to give tools to make it happen right now. And it's getting started after COVID is, I can promise it's not easy and we're working on it. Yeah.
Sure, thanks. I have two questions. They're about two different things. Maybe I'll ask them separately. The first is when you were talking about the specialty clusters, did you mention sciences? I didn't hear it. I heard sustainability. I heard.
Yes. So we have a cluster that will be for STEM and health careers.
Oh, STEM. Okay,
Yes.
that's why I didn't know the sounds. Okay,
Yes.
great.
Sorry about that.
No, that's great. That's
I
great.
hate it.
And then the second one is just about winter study. You mentioned I-99s and the second process. I know there was a process where students just had to make their applications 2 weeks ago and then in the process of getting interviewed for those to see if they're a match. Are you involved in that second one? Maybe you can just talk about the different channels of these winter study internships. It feels like there are 2 or 3 different forms, if you guys are one of them. exciting. Yeah.
Yes.
Do either of you want to explain your experiences with winter study?
Winter study.
How do you as a student find out what's available in winter study?
So I think just like how my Williams career has been, I've only taken one winter study class, and it's a pretty traditional one, I would say. We release a catalog of winter study courses out. I think this out right now,
It is.
actually. Yeah. So students usually just browse that, and they kind of pay attention to when registrar sends out an email like, hey, next week is when winter study registration
Min,
opens.
just use the mic.
A little
Oh,
closer.
isn't it? Yeah.
But I'm sorry, can I interrupt? I'm not
Yeah, go for it.
winter study classes. are
Okay.
Specifically internships, the different kinds of internships you can do, independent or through you guys, or I think there's a third channel as well.
Got it. Okay.
Great. There are lots of experiential activities going on during winter study, and we are one source of those. So there's many offices on campus. Students can work in prisons, schools. There's all types of things regionally. They could be at home doing projects. We have one specific course for which 150 students can get credit for a more traditional internship working at an organization. That's called Spec 21, is that course.
That's
Now,
the process I was trying to describe.
okay, Spec 21, students can look in the catalog and find Spec 21. Again, lots of spots. It probably won't fill up. Be awesome if it did. What's interesting now is hybrid and virtual internships, and we're still trying to digest and swallow that. Ideally, students are on site, but we also recognize there are certain sites where they're just not taking students right now. So it may well be a hybrid. So check out the catalog. I think it's the best starting point. There's a winter study website that really dives into the details of how students can engage winter study. We're big believers in January. We run a lot of programs, a lot of career treks, job shadowing, alumni panels, pitch competition. We jam a lot into January because if students are taking one course, they're likely to have more time to do some of their career exploration. It's also timely as they plan their next summer internship to start working very closely with us.
And I think you can also self-sponsor a Spec 21 internship as well. So if the student were to find an internship opportunity, same logic with ASIP, you could do that. I have actually applied
Definitely,
for
yeah,
a Spec
self-sourced.
21, so
Yep.
we'll see for them, yeah.
What criteria must be met for the self-sourcing? Who says that that's a legitimate?
Yeah, so there's actually a committee that looks at these internships. The write-up is pretty extensive, so it's 40 hours a week. We get significant pushback on this. Actually, I think it's 35 to 40 hours a week now. So the students on campus taking a traditional course, you're in class for how many hours?
3 a week, I think.
3 a week. So our interns are working a minimum of 35 hours a week. So that's note number one. 2, they have to write
Per
a paper,
class.
per
3
class.
per class.
Right. Okay. And then so there's a paper requirement. There's 3 responses to our most powerful tool that we haven't spoken at all about, which is called eFlink. This is our alumni mentoring network of 4,500 Williams alumni who have their hands raised right now to work with students. That's the big networking play that is part of almost every advising appointment we have. That said, students are trained through this process to actually reach out to 3 different alumni in eFlink. So there's several steps along the way, all of which is written up in the process, and a committee makes a selection based on, and I have to say winter study, because we have 150 slots, if a student has a good write-up and they're going to meet that criteria, they're going to have the opportunity to do that internship through Spec 21. Summer, it's a whole different ball of wax. We're actually raising the stipend from $3,800 to $5,000 next summer. So that gets looked at much more closely as we steward those funds. As you can imagine, well, let me tell you, so the data is 94% of Williams undergraduates do an internship during their time here. 78% do more than one. Several do up to 5. So internships are the new norm. Students are doing them in high school. They're expecting to do them when they get here, and we're just naturalizing that process. So it may not be every summer, it may not be every winter study, but at some point in their time, they're thinking, I mean, they're hearing from their peers about the resumes, the credentialing, the skill building, the contacts, the confidence building, frankly, and then the sense of direction they're getting from internships. It's a huge win-win, particularly for a liberal arts type of education.
I just want to chime in because I know that those of you who have folks in the room who aren't first years are thinking, maybe you're thinking that right, this experience wasn't a possibility because of COVID, and you know what, it's okay. They have been getting great experiences in their classes, in their activities, experientially in other modes. They will be great as well. They will be.
And the job market rocks, so you guys have lots of opportunity.
Yeah, and we'll help them to frame their experiences that they have had. They will be fine.
Two questions. One, is there a year that you recommend students start thinking about intern? I mean, I know you've pitched, but first years is a good idea. Say that shit was already sailed. Is, you know, a sophomore year or junior year, like my kid needs to make money too, so that is a factor. And then secondly, the listing for this also mentioned grad school. Can you talk a little bit about support you offer for kids, especially in STEM grad school?
Yeah. Maybe I'll start with the graduate school piece and then we can backtrack a little. So in the Career Center, we work specifically in the pre-professional space for graduate schools. So think pre-law, pre-med, pre-vet, pre-dent, pre-business. Those would all be areas that we have specialty expertise in-house. We also outsource heavily towards eFlink. So we have hundreds of alums who are either in those programs, recently graduated from those programs, who really want to provide advice to students about their experiences. So we're huge advocates in directing students out to the alumni body. For STEM and many of the humanities and other majors for which there are faculty advisors here, they would do most of the graduate school advising. They are experts in their own PhD in their own domains. We strongly encourage to go seek out faculty. Faculty here are best of class and can be extraordinarily, and they're going to be writing, you know, recommendation letters, and there's a whole process behind that. So, yeah.
And on that front, you know, even if they are working with their faculty members, we're happy to look at personal statements, at essays, at things like that, at helping them think about what they value as they're looking for programs, whether it's geographic or whatnot, and the steps beyond them, at when might be the right time for them to experiment versus go into those programs. So it really is, it's a good partnership, but we have them seek whoever's expert in whatever they want to do next, and luckily, for many of those grad school programs, we do have the experts on doing those right here on this campus. So the beginning of your question was, when should they be thinking about internships? And the answer, of course, is right now, whenever now is. But I will say that it's great to be able to deepen and advance along the way so that they can test something out that's maybe informal this coming summer, and then be eligible for something that's a little higher tier than that, maybe a bigger name company, something like that. And so I think it is really great to try to do something each summer. You know, in terms of making money, it could be that they get, you know, an ASIP grant to go with an unpaid opportunity. It could be pairing something part-time that's an internship with something part-time that's a job. It could be that a job that they get really does advance skills in an area that they want to pursue. So really, the word internship is a little strict for, internships are great, but it sometimes is a little narrow. We think that research could be great opportunities, that long-term volunteering opportunities could be great, that there's some depth in activities that they can build out here. And so there really are many ways that they're developing these skills for their future jobs, graduate schools, etc. And part of the challenge is helping them connect the dots and articulate why it was all valuable and what it all connects to. And that's the work we love to do. And you can help them too. If they're willing to talk to you. I know sometimes it's hard. I've had definitely colleagues who had college-aged children, and even though they were career advisors, their children would not talk to them. I don't know how that's been for you. Yeah.
Talk a little bit about peer advising. Yes. Right. How many peer advisors are there in total, and for STEM, how many are there? And how do they get involved, and how do they connect with professionals?
Right, so I believe we have 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Is that right? All right. And so how we got involved was, I mean, this is any other campus job. and how we interact with students is that they usually make appointments through the Handshake platform. So I've met with maybe 3 to 4 students a week since the semester started. My specialty is in technology, so that could range from anything such as resume building, mock interviews, or just like overall talking about what an internship would look like, or the timeline, the recruiting process, anything like that.
So I'll add a little to that because currently we're in the process of rebuilding and expanding what we do with peer advisors. And those of you who have especially first years, I want you to tell them this. So I had a posting up, it's come down, it's going back up next week. We are looking to this spring have a cohort of about 5 to 8 students who start with the basics and learn how to be stellar peer advisors. And we're happy to train first years. We're happy to train sophomores. We want folks who are going to develop into really great experts like Min and her peers have been over the course of some years. But we're really excited to have a group of generalists as well who can do it all. And so please let them know that I know it's daunting to think about being a peer advisor when you are young and don't feel like you have the knowledge. But we will have them learn as a cohort together, practice, and then really delve in and be teaching their peers and next year's first years along the way.
Very rewarding job.
So we have time for a few more questions. I want to make sure anyone who hasn't had a chance gets there. Yeah.
You involved with on-campus summer research opportunities, or is that elsewhere within the college?
So the larger bulk of those are elsewhere through the college, directly through the science program. They have about 180 plus students who do the summer research program. There are other programs as well. We, however, love to fund through the ASIP process students doing research in labs all over the world. We have some phenomenal lab partnerships that we work with. So it's both. Students can be on campus or they can be out.
So to find out more about the actual summer on campus, it goes through the Science Center.
Science Center, exactly.
Oh, I'm also happy to talk about it afterwards too. I did research for on campus because it was hybrid my freshman summer.
Do you want to tell them more about it now?
Yeah, if we have some time. Yeah, so that was the summer we got kicked off campus. So it was a little different. My experience was a lot more remote than what students can attest to, but I had a lot of fun. I worked with 2 other students alongside a faculty advisor on research with human and AI interaction. That was actually a very, very pivotal part of my resume. Because I was a freshman, I didn't have a lot of tech experience or anything like that, but through that, I was able to learn a lot about a very specific concept that I applied through creating a project that I was able to talk to my interviewers in the following recruiting seasons, and that really, really helped me land internships.
I will say that in comparison to peer schools, the opportunities for underclassmen to do research here are astounding. And for many students, doing research on campus is a great foundation to be eligible and ready for things like REUs elsewhere afterwards. And so I would absolutely encourage folks to have their students talk to professors about it. While we don't have to do with lining up the research opportunities, we certainly do help with coaching students on how to make the right connections, how to ask the right questions, and how to get themselves into a lab setting that is a fit for them. Sorry, I keep stealing this. I just like it off.
Question is that, how does your office help with alumni graduates after they graduate? For example, maybe in a couple of years, they want to switch fields from international economy to computer science. How does that office help?
Yeah, no, another great question. So our alumni engagement office actually has a professional focusing on career programs. As you can imagine, our alumni areas are incredibly strong. I mentioned eFlink earlier. eFlink is not just for students, it's also alumni to alumni. So this network extends for lifetime access. Once you're an EF, you're always an EF. And so Wendy Webster Coakley works directly in the Alumni Engagement Office. She's part of the eFlink administration, and she builds regular brazen webinars that she does on all different industries. What typical services a graduate can expect from the Career Center is really an initial complimentary, we'll talk to any alum at any time, but what we won't do is take on a book of 10 appointments, for example. Our focus is on undergraduates. That said, on our site, there's a long list of professional coaches that alumni can work with, who are other alumni that students can work with if they want to have a life coach or a professional coach, et cetera. So we have actually listed specific alumni to work with. They're in different industries. But if you know of an alum who is in a career transition, we're always happy to have an initial conversation and direct them out to other alums, other contacts that we have to work with them. Thanks.
So one area that you might be wondering about if your folks are potentially interested in applying to a health professional program after they graduate, most folks do end up taking, or many folks end up taking a gap year or two because of the way that those processes work, and they absolutely have the support of the college at the point when they're in those application cycles. And so that's a little bit of a different process because there's a committee letter that goes with that, and a process that really does involve the health professions advisor.
Do we have one more question? No pressure.
So these internships are very competitive, so and they do take a lot of time to apply and rejection and all that. So typically, how many internships should a student apply to?
Well, maybe we should start with our students. Maybe we should each answer, if this is the,
Okay.
actually, we're going to have one more
Let's write down our
question,
answers and then-
which I'm going to make up, so this will be the second to last question.
Okay,
Students, what
It's really a matter of what you're interested in, and if you want to increase your chances and you have multiple interests in a couple of organizations, I think it would always be great to apply to all of them, because you can't exactly know at the point when you start the application how you might change your opinion about a particular internship throughout the process, and you get to learn more as you go. And I think it's also good practice to go through the application process of multiple internships, but it really just depends a lot of the times on various contexts as well. I was lucky enough to not have to apply to multiple internships for my summer one, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to go through a lot of job applications, and that's part of the process, and it's not a matter of success or failure. It's just how things work in the career path, and it's good always. I think the Career Center also emphasizes this as focusing on what you're gaining through everything that you're doing, and not like seeing things as a loss or a setback or a failure, because it's part of life to not get everything that you apply for, but you gain skills on how the application process goes as you go.
That's really well put. My answer is going to be way more cynical, but unfortunately. So I'm actually quite lucky. I'm definitely on the lower end of how many internships I applied for. My sophomore year recruiting season, I applied for maybe 50. Yeah, the average is like 100 plus, so it's not great. Yeah, luckily, tech internships are basically just resume drops, so it wasn't as extensive. Like I didn't have to write a cover letter for every company I applied to. That definitely helped out a lot. It was just reusing my resume over and over again. But like Crystal said, it's very educational for each rejection you get. It humbles you, but students can do it. Like, it builds a lot of character too. I believe that.
So I love that we started with that range so that you can see. So my take on this is that you can use different strategies based on where you want to put your energy. So I advise strongly to try to have a list with comforts, safeties, and reaches, right? And if you have a safety that you know, okay, I can fall back on this, then you don't have to add as many options in your comfort and reach zone. And I often will say with that model, I would start a prospect list, put 15 to 30 organizations on it, start to prioritize it by date that it's due, by how interested you are, and then work through. And you might apply to 5 and you might apply to 30. I would say that if you're like, it is my summer and I am going for something I really want, and you're gonna apply to everything that you consider a reach, then your list is longer. Your list might be 50 opportunities and you work through that as you go along. So it really depends on the range that you have and what options you have along the way. And of course I help them define for them what characterizes for them what a safety is versus a comfort versus a reach. It's not obvious like a college application process where there are scores to go with it, but yeah, I don't know. I'm curious about what Don says.
Well, it's, so this is the moment that I'm actually going to push have your student meet with the career advisor who's working closely with them. Because if they have a sharp cover letter, they have a sharp networking program, and sharp capability of interviewing, they're going to cut a lot of corners on time invested in this process. That's what we do every day. That's what these advisors are experts at. So your student having a group of folks around them who are supporting their success are really going to help them get to where they need to go. And that's family, friends, faculty, alumni, career advisors. It's a team effort. Okay, so I'm going to ask the last question. Anyone wants to stick around and ask your personal question, we'll stick for a little bit. Last question, here we go. We're starting the end with Min. So best bit of advice that you would give a Williams parent?
Williams parent?
Yeah, and this is regarding sort of coaching their student or not coaching their student or?
Okay, so.
About careers.
Oh man, for a parent, I think be encouraging. I think your student is just specifically if they're going through the tech recruiting cycle right now, tell them that each rejection is gonna make them just that much better. It will definitely help.
I think questions can be helpful to like connect you with the student's experience and pathway and desires as well. But I would advise you to not make daunting questions that require a definite answer, because a lot of the times we don't have those. And just making sure that we're comfortable with not having answers, but knowing that we have the support to get to them.
Love that.
Okay, a few things. I would say ask open-ended questions that help bring out what they're loving and what they're not loving about their time here. Reflect back what you're hearing from them. Listen well and don't think about what they wanted to be when they were 13, if it's not what they want to do now. And ask what you can do to help, whether there's some sort of professional they want to be connected with, whether you can help them brainstorm, family, friends, local organizations, and things like that, because the more conversations they have with people out there in the world who do things that they haven't been exposed to or haven't been exposed to on that level yet, the more data they have to help them make decisions along the way.
Awesome. I guess I get to bring it home. First thing I would do, that sheet that you have in your hand, I would read it. You're going to get some inside baseball right there. Not that you're going to quiz your student on it, just that you're familiarizing yourself with the landscape. And so, a couple things. One is be cautious of that turkey talk conversation at Thanksgiving. So no pressure on students to major rarely equals career here. This really is an explorative process. So I think you've heard across the board, be encouraging, provide positive affirmation about their exploration process. If they are floundering or they're just off track or they're focused 100% on their dissertation or their varsity athletics, that's fine, right? They're not going to figure out what they're going to do with the rest of their life. We don't even like to use the word career because this is really a process of discovery that they'll have many careers over the course of their life. So what's the next step after Williams? What are some of the entry-level points in those industries? What are those jobs called? Does it require graduate school? Are there certain skills that one would need and for which one could do internships? So I would encourage you to have conversations with your students, to encourage them to come into the center, to encourage them to work with a team of advisors who really can, again, bolster their success through this process. If you would like, and here's my pro tip for parents, there is a parents section of our website. So you have your sheet in your hand, you can check out the section of our site, you can see the outcomes data on our site for different industries and different salaries. You can have all that information for the most recent classes if you are the type of person who likes that information. It's all available to you. If you have a unique question, again, we'll stick around for a few moments and we're happy to answer that. So with that, we wish you a lovely rest of your fall family weekend. We thank you so much for